A human rights court in Accra awards 200,000 Ghana cedis as compensation to a 46-year-old man who was wrongfully accused and remanded in prison for 14 good years. This is the first such ruling in Ghana, and some legal experts say though a precedent may have been set, the amount awarded is peanuts. So how is it possible that an innocent man was held on remand for 14 years without trial? How could the justice system have failed him so badly? My name is Stephen Anti, and this is today's big story. 46-year-old Francis Ejari was arrested in 1994 at the beaches of Jamestown, where he had gone to purchase fish for himself and his family. He was charged with robbery and remanded in prison pending further investigation. He remained in prison, however, for 14 years, 6 months, awaiting a formal trial that never came until he was released unconditionally in 2008. So what went wrong with the justice system? Much earlier in the courts today after the ruling, his lawyer, Frances Kojo Sosu, spoke to Joy News' Ani Osabote.
It is a very happy day because today human rights, in Ghana has been vindicated. In fact, today gives me hope that Ghana is not just a jungle of people, but Ghana is a land of laws, that when people's life or people's liberty are unjustifiably taken away, there is some hope for them. And I believe that this should send a big warning to the whole, state, particularly state actors, to know that whatever they are doing is being watched. You cannot just arrest somebody and put him in detention for over 14 years without trial. A person who is barely 46 years is looking like 90 just because he has been put in this remand cells. If you have been to Insawan before, you would realize that even when you are convicted, you are even better off because at least you have some benefit as a prisoner. But when you are in remand, it's like you have been put in a cage. And this is coming, in the back of the recent human rights, report by the UN investigator that shows that Ghana's prisons are a violation of international standards. So for me, I believe that the Human Rights Court has stamped its, its authority, saying that what was done was a breach, a violent breach of the fundamental rights of the applicant, and the appropriate compensation in the mind of the court has been awarded, and we are very happy.
But you are looking for 2 million Ghana cedis?
Yes, we were looking for 2 million Ghana cedis because we believe that the damage that was done to the applicant cannot be quantified. And indeed, the judge considered the fact that damage cannot be quantified, except that the judge was maintaining the balance between the public purse and the damage that must be awarded, or the compensation that must be awarded to the applicant. Indeed, we are not completely happy about the compensation, but we believe that it is in the right light. Our main aim in this suit is not just to get some huge damage and then be happy, but we wanted to send a signal very clear that that breach of fundamental rights must not be countenanced in a free democratic society like that of ours. And for us, that is more important, and I think the judge made that point very clear. Indeed, the 200,000 Ghana cedis that was awarded, when it is well managed, I believe that Francis will be able to put up his life together and get some meaningful life.
Well, meanwhile, the accused, the victim, I beg your pardon, Francis Ejari, says he has forgiven his accusers and detainers.
Yes, I've forgiven them. Yeah, I've forgiven them. But what I'm saying that they should be vigilant in their works. Because they train them to work. They're not trained them to be arresting innocent people. And they should do investigations well. It's not good for you to arrest somebody, just beat the person up without making proper investigation. So I thank God for my release.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Francis, towards 200,000 Ghana cedis. I mean, how do you intend investing that?
Oh, 200,000 Ghana cedis. It is God who showed me how to invest with it. Because I'll now start my life with fresh. And I believe God will show me what to do. God will show me what to do.
Are you going to go back to your old business?
Oh no, I'm now going to establish myself well and do business so I can be able to give myself to God well.
What exactly do you mean?
In fact, it is God who brought me out. It is God who let me win this victory. So I give thanks to God.
But you were confident that you're going to get justice.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe that I'll get justice. Because I believe God will do justice, and God have done justice. But what I'm saying that there are people over there who haven't committed no crime, they are there. So I'm promising the government to take steps and go in there and save them. It is God who saved me out. God, I don't have money to go there and visit them. But what they have been doing is very bad. The CIDs and the police, they are not doing their work well. They train them to do better, but they are not doing better. When somebody implicated you, instead of them to fund investigation well, they don't do it. They just beat you, to detain you for nothing.
And while the ruling was being read, I was looking at you and I realized that you had your eyes fixed to the ground. What was running through your head?
I was happy in spirit. 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 So I thank God for whatever comes out. I thank God for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Samson Ladi Anyenini, who is a private legal practitioner, is joining us now on telephone. Samson, this to me, I mean, as somebody who is just not a lawyer, I find this very difficult to understand. How is it possible that the justice system could be so bad for a person to have been remanded in custody without trial for 14 good years? This is bad, isn't it?
Right. Steve, there are a number of collaborators that are involved in the justice system. But in this particular case, you may put the blame at the doorstep. You can trace it to the police who did arrest him at the first place, and the prison officers who, together with the police, had a duty to ensure that at the times when he was needed in court, he ought to have been made to appear in court. Certainly, it is a case where he was dumped in the prison on remand and forgotten about completely. Otherwise, he would not have stayed there for 14 years. When you are put into a remand, you're put on a warrant. And when the warrant expires, oftentimes you have the officers going to seek a renewal of the warrant and to continue to keep the person in custody, even when the police continue to give an excuse that they are still investigating. Another aspect of it, and Steve, I am privileged to have had sufficient knowledge about what goes on in such situations because my LLB project was on pre-trial detainees and convicted prisoners. So I did quite sufficient comprehensive work in the area, which took me to some of the cells, took me to the prisons, and I got to know that this particular situation you are talking about is but only one of so many hundreds in our prison, in our cell. And the sad commentary is that in this country, somehow, police officers particularly, sometimes, either when they are acting in ignorance, you can pardon them. But where they are acting in sheer wickedness, or they are just being lousy, they take a person and they think that they have a right to keep them forever.
Samson, let me pause you there. So in this case, you feel that the police officers who worked on this case were either lousy or were just sheer wicked to leave Francis abandoned in the prison cell for 14 years without anybody checking on him. What were the prison officers doing anyway? If a guy has been in your custody for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you feed him, you take care of his upkeep, and you don't care about checking up whether his case is before trial. Is there a duty? Do you have a duty to that person?
They certainly do. The prisons have very clear rules that after the police have come and dumped the people there, unfortunately, what happens in our prisons is that our prisons say when the police come and dump the people there, they only sit there and wait for the police to request to take them out to court, and then they release them for them to take them to court and bring them back.
I see.
But there are situations like his where unfortunately you may say justice may be a thing on sale, because definitely if he had a lawyer, he would have pressed for him to be taken to court for a trial to be held. Now, the law says that when you arrest someone, the police have the right, if the offense for which he's accused is an offense which we say in law is a bailable offense, i.e. is not murder, is not defilement, rape, is not treason, is not hijacking, is not narcotic drugs, and so on, or subversive acts, they are entitled to bail within 48 hours, according to Article 14 of the 1992 Constitution. They are supposed to either grant them bail upon such conditions that will enable or compel the people to present themselves when they are required to so present themselves. If within 48 hours they are unable to grant the person bail, they should process the person for court. Then the court will decide whether to remand them or to grant them bail. Sometimes the police go to court and they know that they are doing nothing, and yet they will tell the court that they are investigating and insist that the court should remand the people. The people are remanded. Unfortunately, if they don't have a lawyer, they will continue to be on remand. No one is checking on them, no one is following up on them, and they are left to be in the prison like his situation. And I'm telling you, Stephen, that by my project, which I did sometime in 2007, 2008, there are many like him who are languishing in our jails unjustifiably. The principle, though, according to our law, is that when you are on remand for a certain period of time, when a trial is held and you are found to be guilty, for example, you have spent like 3 years and you are found guilty subsequently, then the judge, when sentencing you, decides to sentence you, say, to 5 years, then the judge will deduct the years you have already spent in remand.
Right.
And then you serve the rest of the years. The Constitution places an injunction on the state that where you have been remanded and you have been found not to be guilty, you ought to be compensated for the period that you spent in jail.
And something in this case, the compensation of 200,000. Some legal aspects say it's really peanuts. But what do you say about that?
I agree with that totally. Totally. It's peanuts. But you see, I heard some portions of what the judge had to say. And he said that what he has suffered cannot be compensated for in monetary terms. That's what I heard the judge say. But I still say this is not sufficient.
Right, something
this
where...
is also a call to the police that they ought to know the times when they arrest people over pretty minor offenses, what we call misdemeanors, and the law allows the police to grant the people bail. If you think they will run away, that is why you tighten the bail conditions in such a way that you have something or someone to fall on. If they go to court, don't insist too much that they should not be granted bail because you are investigating, when after court you go back to sleep and virtually do nothing. If there's an opportunity for bail, the law says that bail should not be treated as if is a punishment. According to Section 96
Right.
of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, it should not be used as a punishment. So grant people bail. Already the prisons are congested, the cells are congested. So I just can't make a sense of it why some of our officers, out of sheer wickedness, some go to as far as to become debt collectors. They know that it's not their job, and
Right.
they go and arrest people and keep them in detention for owing people over clearly civil, contractual, commercial matters.
Right. Something we're grateful for your time. I know that this will be a debate that will be spoken about a long time from today, and I'm sure many law students will take this up and study. We have in the studio actually Frances Kojo Xavier Kojo Sosu.
Yeah, that is correct.
Xavier or Xavier.
Xavier. Yeah.
I mean, today is a good day for you.
Absolutely. It is a very good day because it is such a joy to seek for justice and in the process find one. It's extremely exciting.
I was trying to probe something who I hear as your friend
yes.
about this. How possible could it be that somebody who has not committed any crime could be left in the prison for this long? Do you see this as a failure of our justice system or just a failure of society in general? It's a bad thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a very bad thing. And for us, that is what this whole publicity is about. That it is a complete wake-up call to our society. Like Samson rightly said, you know, the days of arresting people and simply throwing them to jail without any investigation.
For sometimes
you know,
just for show of power,
you know,
really.
Exactly. You know, those days are long gone. Because people, day by day, are becoming very wise. They are becoming very knowledgeable
And
about their
enlightened
fundamental
about
rights. You know, so you cannot just go ahead and arrest somebody
But
and put them, you know, inside detention.
I gather from what is happening that if Francis possibly had a lawyer or could afford one, he possibly could have done something about this long ago. So this also comes to being able to pay for justice.
Exactly. You know, so again, you know, it's not always that people get justice because, again, of the problems that we are having. Indeed, if you do not have money, in fact, even from the beginning, if Francis was to look for money first before getting justice, it would take him forever. Because I remember that when a feature was first done on him, an appeal was launched, you know, for lawyers who would be willing, you know, to take up his matter.
And you did. And you took this
yes,
on pro bono basis.
Yes, and you know, I actually had to pay. Each time that he came to court, I gave him money for TNT, you know, and you have to pay his medical bills, and this has, you know, this has taken us over 2 years. So it should tell you what it means. So if you don't get people who will be ready or get institutions that will be ready to fund such activities, you would have many of Francis Ejaris languishing in our jail.
So I'll pause you quickly and I'll get onto the phone lines. I'm told that Professor Kenneth Tefa, who is Dean at the Faculty of Law at the Central University College, is joining us. Prof, it's great to have you here. Now, the issues we are discussing sounds very sad, really. In the case of Francis, if he had money, if he was able to get access to legal aid, possibly he could have done something about his situation. What do you say about this sorry situation he found himself in?
Well, first of all, let me express my appreciation, my happiness rather, that this person is at long last out of jail. And my condolences to him for the many precious of precious years of his life that were literally wasted behind bars. I think it's a commentary on how little we value life as a people, that the criminal justice system can function in such a way that a person, no matter the gravity of the offense he's alleged to have committed, will spend 14 years on remand, that is, awaiting trial. It is crying shame, and it is regrettable that we criminal justice system, that begins with arrest and investigation and prosecution and, of course, the detention, that at every single stage is severely flawed. And, that this kind of episode can happen. And I'm particularly also disappointed that the compensation we got was only 200,000. I do not know the fact of the case beyond what I have read in the media, but this is 200,000 Ghana cedis for 14 years. I had a client detained at the Adenta police station for 10 days. And, we got him 30,000 cedis. It makes me feel very sorry. At the time, I thought that it was, previously low. This is embarrassment. But beyond the money, the human dignity that is destroyed by the unfair incarceration of persons, the fact that we do not put high premium on human life, and once you are accused, the presumption is that you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. That is the translation of the very principles that underpin our criminal justice system.
Prof, I was asking, how can we as a country correct this so that the many thousands or hundreds of people languishing in jail for the same situation, how can we correct it?
Well, hello?
Yeah, I'm asking, how can this be corrected? It must not be allowed to continue.
There is so much crackling noise in the phone. I can hardly hear you. But if I understood you asking how this can be corrected.
Corrected, exactly, right.
Yeah, this is a complex situation underpinned by a complex web of factors. Some of which I have alluded to: incompetent investigation, the tension among Ghanaians to presume that a person is guilty simply because he has been accused. The lack of diligence in investigating matters, especially when they concern robbery, and that, and of course the low premium we put on life. These are some of the underpinnings. But if we had an expanded, a legal, criminal justice system that had a lot more lawyers who were willing to take on cases of this nature, and a judiciary that is also imbued with a sense of a greater sense of pity and sensitivity, especially on the part of prosecutors, police, and judges, that we would make a headway, that we would believe in human rights far more than we seem to do.
Right, Prof. Yes, sir.
Talk of human rights as if it's a bad thing, but human rights is a good thing, and we ought to respect the fundamental rights of citizens.
Right. Prof, we are very grateful for your time on today's Big Story. Kenneth Tefa is the Dean at the Faculty of Law at the Central University College. So, Francis, I'll give you closing remarks. You heard what Prof said. What do you have to say about everything that has happened
I
today?
would say that, first of all, the judgment is a victory for our democracy. For a free society like Ghana, such things shouldn't be happening. And I am actually championing a campaign for government to set up a commission of inquiry into cases of unlawful detention. I'm telling you, it would amaze you the number of cases of unlawful detentions that you would get. Both those currently in detention and those who have come out and do not have anyone to resort to. And as has been said over and over again, if you go to the remand prison today, there are many people there whose warrants of remand have expired, long expired, and yet they are still there. It will take people, it will take resources, it will take a systemic approach, to address the problem. So I am hoping that in the next few days, state actors, Attorney General, the Chief Justice, we have a Justice for All program, people, all the stakeholders will come together and consider the possible setup of this commission of inquiry into unlawful detentions in Ghana, so we can actually find a very conclusive way of dealing with this matter.
You're not resting on this one case?
No, not at all, because I think that there are a lot more issues, and I'm sure that in the next few number of days, many more of such issues would be uncovered, because we are still investigating and we are still suing based on the facts that we have.
Now, the key issue is that you didn't get what you wanted. You wanted 2 million and then you got 200,000.
Exactly.
For you, it's a victory somehow. Now, the key problem is,
yes,
when are you going to get the money?
You know, for us, you know, that should be the main point. Because we could have been awarded 2 million and it would take forever for government to pay. They would say we don't have money and so on and so forth. 200,000 is a peanut, as Prof described it. And I have already expressed my disappointment in the 200,000, except that I agree with the judge's reasoning that you would need to, you know, keep a balance between award of compensation in these instances together with the public purse that is actually going to pay this compensation. And so we are hoping that with the media behind us and with all the efforts we are putting in, government may see this as a really, you know, as a peanut and will be quick at paying this money. So we can, you know, some form of basic needs for him to, you know, put his life together.
What is his family telling you?
Honestly, they are extremely excited. His little boy, who was 6 at the point of arrest and detention, who dropped out of school and finally became, you know, someone, you know, fishing, and now a trotro mate, has been full of praise and full of excitement. And for me, it is a joy to see them smile,
and
because that is
the
what
father
I desire.
can help him get a life.
Exactly.
Thank you very much,
it's my pleasure.
Francis, for such a wonderful job you're doing. It's our prayer that your money will come in quickly so that Francis will get his life back. My name is Stephen Enti, and this is how we wrap for today's big story. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with an interactive segment. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's now time for the interactive segment, and Gladys is here. Gladys.
Hi, Steve.
What are we talking about?
We're looking at the collapsed building at Newboy Town. You know, just about 2 years ago, Malcolm, we had that. Yes. And the same history seems to have repeated itself.
Anyway,
so we're discussing that with our viewers and social media platform.
Let's hear it.
Right. Thank you, Steve. One person has been confirmed dead after 6-story uncompleted hotel at Newboy Town near Abekanla Pass in Accra. Well, so the uncompleted hotel is said to have collapsed around 3:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. Meanwhile, Minister of Defense Mark Oyongo, who was at the site of the collapsed building, has called on the Works Department of Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies to ensure frequent inspections of buildings, especially story building. We'll be bringing you that of Mark Oyongo, but let's just appreciate the situation. Right, so did authorities go to sleep after the 2012 Malcolm Mall disaster? How can we avoid such needless deaths?
We are going to collaborate with the AMA to have a technical committee in place to actually go into the causes of this disaster. We want to wait and then come out with a technical committee so that whatever recommendation they come out with, then we'll work with it.
Well, you can join us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/joynewsontv. You could send us a tweet to twitter.com/joynewsontv. The handles are at joynewsontv and #JNInteractiveG8. Email via joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Share with us, how can we prevent such needless deaths? Well, many people were trapped beneath the rubble. The MP of the area, Elizabeth Saki, lays the blame squarely on the shoulders of AMA. Did we go to sleep after the Malcolm disaster? So, who should take the blame, AMA or the owner of the building? We will be Skyping as many of you as possible on the issue. But first, I have Francis Doe on Skype, who is going to share with us what he makes. Francis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Francis, how do you think, where are we missing it? What do you think we are not getting right? It happened, Malcolm disaster happened, and we thought we were going to take a cue from there and get things corrected. But here we are again with another similar situation.
I believe everyone is to take the blame. I believe we Ghanaians like to talk a lot about problems and not trying to attend to it. But first, my condolence to those who lost their life in this unfortunate incident. And I wish those at the hospital speedy recovery. I believe both the EMA and the owner of the building is to be blamed. But I believe we all Ghanaians have to participate in the development of the country. Also, let's assume if the AMA comes to mark the building, that the building should be stopped, the owner will probably go and see the AMA, at least pay something to continue with the building. So yeah. So looking at it, both the AMA and the owner is at fault.
They have to share the blame.
Yeah. So, but this is not just them. It's the country as a whole. You know, there is a lot to be done, and we are refusing to tackle the problem that we are facing, but instead, talking about it. Talking alone wouldn't resolve everything.
Let's find solution to our problem. Right,
so
Francis.
We should take responsibility in everything that we do and try to attend to it.
All right, Francis. Thank you so much, Francis. We have been talking to Francis. Francis is he is a citizen of Ghana, and he just wanted to share his thoughts with us via Skype. He is a concerned citizen who thinks that we just talk about our problems and not really find solutions to those problems. All right, so I also have been joined online by the MP for the area, Elizabeth Saki. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you for calling.
This is the second time such a disaster is happening in your constituency. You certainly are not happy.
Hello?
Hello, Madam Saki.
Okay, hello.
You can hear me now. Good. So I'm asking, this is the second time such a disaster is actually happening in your constituency, and obviously you won't be happy about that.
Thank you. I say hello to your listeners. I think that it's true. I'm not happy about it. And this gives me to say that the sub-metro office and the building inspector over there is not doing his work well. Because before you give somebody a permit to build, there is responsibility to go and survey wherever the person is going to have the building. You need to look at the structure that is going to be put up there, and then you advise as well. And after you have done that, you need to be there to supervise and make sure that the right thing is being done. This time it's rather unfortunate. When the whole structure started, and then everybody thought it was just a two-story building. Then it started hiking up there. they should have gone there to see what is really happening on the ground. You had opportunity for residents around there to come and complain. I had opportunity to also talk to him because I had a complaint from the assembly member there. I asked the assembly member to follow up and make sure that the right thing is being done. And for a week today, when we were going to have the soft match, I had to summon all the assembly members in my constituency for a meeting. And at that meeting, we discussed what's going on in the constituency, and the assembly member for Anahuma, that is Kodna Frani, elected me of that building. So I asked him to get me the full information and then about the building so that we'll see what we can do. For me to hear this morning that the building that we discussed just Monday had collapsed, it's unfortunate that such things are happening in our constituency, and more especially in Ghana. I think that the building inspectors need to sit up. I blame them because they have their expertise and they need to advise and make sure that they supervise to see that good work has been done. A story building of 7 should not be given and allow only the contractor to work on. I think that they have the right to be there. They needed to go and see exactly what the contractor is doing. Though, as I speak now, the contractor has been arrested. He is now at Tesano police station and writing his statement. We've still not seen the owner of the building. And I call on the AMA to also call the building inspector to come and explain why. Tomorrow I'll be in Parliament. I'll request that I put an urgent question across so that by Monday, Tuesday, we'll discuss this issue once again in Parliament. Because I remember when the Malcolm issue happened, I really screamed about the same issue, asking that whoever, any authority who should advise and the bidding should be taken up. And I know for sure that that gentleman who was the building inspector for that building has been dismissed. We ask that this one will also take another dimension where he will not only be dismissed but also pay for cost of services that we have rendered today. And I think that would be another step for any building inspector to know that if he doesn't do his work well, he'll be sanctioned and sanctioned properly.
Thank you very much, Madam Elizabeth Saki. She is the MP for the New Boytown area. She has been sharing with us how best we can prevent such occurrences. Obviously, she's not happy because it is her constituency, and the second time it is happening in that very constituency. Right, so I have been joined right in the studio by my colleague Matilda Wemega, who was on location, on the site of the collapsed building, and she is going to be telling us, you were on the ground, so you give us a good picture on the ground. How are the people in the area taking in this one?
Exactly. I think those who were really affected is a house just close by this building that has just collapsed. I managed to speak to some of these residents. About 18 of them have been rendered homeless for now, because the area has been declared as a high security zone. So they've been asked to move out of the place. So I tried engaging them to find out.
Is it that part of that house got affected? It was brought down as a result, or how exactly?
Exactly. The entrance to that particular house, some of the blocks fell into that house, even to the extent that it even got to their hall. So she felt the thing at dawn, but she couldn't come out. She couldn't come out, so she had to be shouting and then calling people. So they had to bring in some equipment in order to take her daughter and then herself. But then all they were saying that they were grateful that at least their lives have been spared. But then they were so worried. They told me that at the initial stage of this building, they used to be complaining about the way that the whole thing was going up. It was just developing at a very faster rate, and then according to them, they were not concerned about the quality of the materials being used. They were just alarmed because of some of the distraction that the construction work used to affect them when they washed their things, and then the lanes had to be blocked as a result of these building materials that were brought in. So they told me that a couple of times they've made reports to the AMA and to the assembly members to bring these people, this particular man, Mr. Murray, who is the owner of this building.
Mr. Murray is the owner.
Is the owner of this building. So they've been raising a lot of issues until this thing happened. Exactly.
So the MP also mentioned that the contractor has been arrested. Was he at the scene this morning, or how was the arrest conducted?
What we gathered from the Chief Superintendent Lydia Donko for the Tesano Police Command. She told us that indeed this contractor has been, his name was given as Moses Abbey. He was arrested. He was, she didn't really tell us where exactly he was arrested. Yeah, but then she told us efforts had been made to reach one Mr. Murray, the owner of this Grand View Hotel. But then he has not been picking his calls. So they managed to get through with the son, and then the son told them that the father is out of Accra, but then they are still on this issue. It's still fresh, so they're still going to work out on it. But interestingly, Gladys, one thing that the Accra mayor mentioned was that this whole area, about 2,000 acres of land within this New Boy Town area, this area, those living there do not even have development and building permits.
I see.
Exactly.
And it's coming from the mayor.
Exactly.
There are lots of questions to be answered.
They do not have building permits. And one will wonder, this land was acquired like somewhere in the 1970s.
Exactly. And somebody needs to be checking. So it means that some people have gone to sleep.
Exactly.
Matilda, thank you. We hope for more details on this issue during our news at 8. So let's quickly get to WhatsApp and see what you have been sharing with us on WhatsApp. Kulo Isa Ibn says, fake builders. That's coming from Kulo Isa Ibn Ali, fake builders. Thank you. George Harris says, sorry to the owner of the building and the victims as well. It's well, God will restore them in no time. That's coming from George Harris. Thank you, George. Stone Child says the metro engine should be sacked. Okay. Well, somebody is going to sleep, and so Ronald Yabwa says it can only be avoided if we ask for inspection of all buildings and making sure that all houses built without a permit is pulled down, because we can't take some people's plight to destroy other lives. All right, thank you so much, Ronald. Hassan Mubarak says, I think it's high time a task force is kept in place to fully handle this issue, either than that we will one day wake up to realize that a wall has collapsed on Ghanaians. Which wall will be that, Hassan? On the whole Ghana. Right, thank you, Hassan. John Ejiri says, the leaders are not serious and they always think about their pocket. Right, George Ejiri, thank you. Let me quickly take last one. Kulo again says, all these debts are avoidable, but because we don't always want to do the right thing, that is why they bribe the engineers and do the wrong thing. So that is also coming from Isa. Let me quickly get onto Facebook and see what some of you have also been sharing with us on Facebook. But before I do that, quickly, we hit the streets and sort from some of you what you also make of the situation. But quickly, let's see what you have been saying on Facebook. So you, Alex Akapo, says they have been building without permits. If no, the owner and the contractor should be punished. That's coming from Okanta Kofi. David Sam says the building inspectors and engineers in Accra should be dismissed for failing to do their job. Prosper Silencer, as it should be, says, who is not doing his or her work? The rate at which buildings are collapsing in the country, where are those people who are supposed to check whether the buildings people are putting up what to the standards? Heads must roll. Investigations must be conducted if found out that someone has done his or her check well to make sure this does not happen. Enough of this negligence. Seidu Saikati Mohammed says, I think this is as a result of weak institutions. Sanyo Yao Asase says, Ghana is full of talk shop and inactions. So far as no individual was handpicked and punished for negligence of duty, we will continue to experience such unfortunate occurrences. At 57, no institution seems to be working perfectly. We seem to be moving one step forward and two steps backwards. Let's sit up, identify, name and shame and sanction negatively officials whose behavior might have directly or indirectly led to some of these disasters. Let me quickly take the last one and wrap up. Great Nassar says, it is a pity to have these occurrences in our dear nation. I think there should be a national body set up to scrutinize the construction of buildings and the already existing ones to save our lives. Well, so really, somebody must have gone to sleep, and that person needs to be waked up. So let's see how it goes. We hope that we can one day very soon put a stop to this. Let's see. I think I have the chance to do more. Free Nathaniel says we should take good and quality and skilled personnel for the building personnel. Free, you see, the problem here is that they may be very good and skilled, but when the person chooses to be ignorant and, you know, get away with it, that's what happens. So Felix Faraday says, that is not what happens when you live in a country. That's exactly what happens when you live in a country where people, not proactive but reactive, where National Disaster Management Organization is formed but never dreamt of National Disaster Preventive Organizations. Sorry for Ghana. My very last one, Jamal Aziz says, we should be ready to hang and kill corrupt public workers if they are found guilty of corruption. Otherwise, we could talk chain, nothing would change. Right, so thank you, Aziz. You happen to be my last comment on Facebook. Steve?
Gladys, at News at 8, the MPP chairman, hopeful Paul Afoko, has pledged to ensure that whoever is selected as the party's flag bearer for the 2016 elections wins the presidential election. Paul Afoko, whose candidature became doubtful over his alleged conviction, was cleared by the party executive after some investigations. He tells Joy News that he will put the controversy behind him and work towards a new vision for the party.
Right, so experts are predicting further gloom for the country's water resources if radical steps are not taken to protect them. Currently classified as water stressed, experts project the country will experience a decline in the population's access to water in the years ahead if the destruction of water bodies continues.
So that's it for...
Sure, and I'm sure we'll be bringing more details about the
collapsed building, yes, at
yeah.
Niboy Town, behind the Grandview Hotel. I hear it's an extension of the Grandview which went. My name is Stephen Anti.
My name is Gladys Osei Oredu. Thanks for your time.
Good evening.